if you wake up and you're just like, I don't have it in me today, like one, you also have to give yourself grace if you do decide to not work out and know that it's going to be okay. But also to have the flexibility to say, you know, I still want to move my body. I can't weight train today. Okay, well, how else can you move your body?
Hey there, and welcome to Work is Third, the podcast that is all about indulging in rest, setting boundaries, finding joy, and putting yourself first. I'm Dawn Hunter, your host, and I am so excited you're here. Today's guest is Tyneka Pack, the founder and CEO of Impact Fitness and a certified fitness and wellness leader who has dedicated her career to transforming lives through health and empowerment. Our conversation is focused on the body and how to build the strength and stamina to sustain your ambition. We dive into how movement, rest, and boundaries are essential leadership tools. If you want to skip around, I've added section markers in addition to the chapter markers, but you're going to want to stick around for the whole thing. Let's dive in. Hello, Tyneka, and welcome to Work is Third.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing great. Really excited to have you here and talk about one of my favorite topics, which is movement. And that's also a recurring theme on this show. But before we dive into that, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit more about how you're doing by sharing a word to describe how you're doing today.
The word I would say is recouping. It has been a busy month prior. The last actual 4 weeks have been super busy. I've had some type of engagement or event literally every single week. And this is literally the first week I have to kind of rest, be intentional with that, and just start to slowly get back to my normal routine. So my word is recouping because that's what I've been doing all week up until this point.
Well, we've had the same energy. And so this month, I think, because I was traveling for both work and for fun most of September. And I often have to put things on the side when I'm traveling. Just it's hard to stay on top of just email and whatever. And This week, I've been trying to also recoup. And it's funny because when I looked at my calendar on Sunday, I was like, why did I do this to myself? Like this week has so many meetings.
Yes.
But before we got started, you were saying that you actually did cancel some meetings and things like that. Tell me more about that.
I did, because coming off of literally something almost every day last month, like I know me and I will do the absolute most. So I did cancel and move some things around so I could actually have slow mornings. I don't feel like I had to prepare for this meeting and that meeting, like all the things, like to allow me space to be able to rest, especially coming from a person who struggled with resting when she should be resting. So I kind of had to make sure that that was already kind of built into my schedule. So this week wasn't as demanding. That will allow for me to have space to rest and be slow and all those good things. So yeah, you know, I'm just setting myself up for the things that I know that I need.
Right? You have to plan to take care of yourself. It just doesn't happen without some intention.
Exactly.
So I also love a slow morning because I love to get up and journal and drink a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And I don't usually do meetings before 10 a.m. because I'm just not my best person before that time. Like it takes me a couple hours to wake up.
I get that. I definitely get that. I wish I could say the same, but with me training some of my in-person clients starting at 5 a.m., you know, there's some days where that just doesn't quite happen for me.
Right. So what is a typical day for you then? I mean, on days like you're training clients, you say you have a client that's at 5 a.m. What's your cutoff for the end of the day? Like, how do you make sure you are not just working the whole day?
Yeah, that is a very good question. Well, Fridays I'm done early. Like I don't really if I have meetings or things like that, I typically don't go past 3 or 4 for those. But the other days we actually have to wake up early. You know, I usually train my clients in the morning. I typically do my own workouts after that. And then depending on the day is usually of other meetings or doing other admin things. But I typically cut off like my actual work and meetings, like 6 in the evening. I usually, I guess it's in a sense work, but also not. like attend a training or look at podcasts, or if we're having like group calls, like I'll tune in, but nothing actually have to do as far as like working. But it does definitely vary by day. But Mondays, I don't do any meetings. None. So Mondays are my complete CEO days. I don't have no clients, no nothing. Like I'm completely unavailable every single Monday of the year.
That's a strategy that I love. I also protect Mondays because it helps me to set up for the week, just to be able to have that time where there's no demands on my brain, and I can just kind of figure out, okay, what do I want the rest of this week to look like, or what do I need to take care of that's urgent, or also just making sure that I have time for personal stuff.
For sure. Yeah, one of my clients actually suggested that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it. So January of this year was actually my first time actually doing like a no Monday client type of situation. And I love it. I love it.
I love it too. It's funny because I think I started consistently doing that also earlier this year. And then what I did is once a month I had a standing Monday meeting that it was really interesting because it's been standing for like 4 years. We've been meeting monthly on Mondays. And I was just like, if I'm going to keep running this meeting, I need it to be on another day. And I had so much, like, I don't know what the word is. I was just didn't want to ask for that.
I get it.
But when I did, everyone was understanding. And it turns out other people also were like, maybe Monday's not the best day. And there are some people who liked the Mondays, but as a person who hosts and like facilitates a conversation, I need this to be another day. And I think, and people were so understanding. So it was just like overcoming my own barrier to saying, this is what I need.
Yes, yes, I get that. So I'm glad that you did make that shift.
So what do your other days look like? I mean, so if you have a 5 a.m. client, like say on a Tuesday, what is your earliest client on Wednesday?
So Wednesdays are 5 a.m. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays are like my only in person. Everyone else is online, and I'm only training in the morning. So the earliest is 5 on Wednesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays, we start at 6, and I'm usually done both days by 10 a.m. Depending on the day, I'm able to probably squeeze in my workout in between. Other days, I just do my workout right after. So I am in the gym for like a few hours in the morning, training clients and then doing my own workout. Because I know that if I wait until the afternoon or evening to try to do my workout, it doesn't usually happen. So I try to get it done while I'm already there. And then yeah, after I leave the gym, it's literally just whether it's admin things, but usually that's when I do my other meetings, whether it's in person or online or podcast.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk more about your calendar, but I would love to first talk more about your business as a trainer and Impact Fitness. So tell me more about the origin and how you ended up being where you are today.
That is a great story. So I actually started my personal fitness journey at the end of 2013, beginning of 2014. That was like middle of 2013. And just going to the gym as far as trying to find a new hobby. Me and my mom were going together. It's like a bonding type of thing. Eventually, it just ended up being myself. But it was all good because I actually met this girl in the women's locker room. She had on these really cute leggings and I complimented her on it. And she was like, you should come downstairs and work out with us. So I ended up meeting and working out with this group of ladies. It was like 4 or 5 of us, and this guy was training them. But I didn't know that all of them competed in bodybuilding competitions. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I'm just here for the vibes. Like, I'm just here for the vibes, for the support, all the good things. But I went to one of their shows, and there was this girl on stage. Her name is Katrina Roundtree, who's actually my friend today. And she looked amazing, like amazing. And I'm like, I actually want to look like her. So competed, 10 shows, pro card, all that good stuff. And then I end up helping my friend lose weight for a procedure that she had to get done. Nobody knew I was training at that point, but she was like my first client, undercover client. So by the time I finished my last show, I had a client that I had results from. And then I literally launched my business a month after my last show. And that's pretty much how I got started, was from my best friend trusting me to get her to where she needed to be. And yeah, so that's where Impact Fitness was born and how we got here.
Well, so it's been going now for, what is that, 12-ish years?
12-ish years in the industry. Impact Fitness will be turning 8 November 1. So it'll be 8 years officially in business with Impact Fitness.
Okay. So I'd like to understand the business of training a little bit in the sense
Mhm.
that is Impact Fitness you, or do you have a team? Do you have other trainers, right? Like how big is your team? Like what does this look like?
Yeah, good question. Good question. So, as far as the personal trainer, that is me. So, I'm the founder, the CEO, and also like the trainer. We do have two different sides to our business. So, we do have the individual where we're coaching folks, whether it's hybrid or online. So, it's myself. I do also have a registered dietitian who helps with like the nutrition aspects on that end as well. But we've also, over the last year and a half, 2 years, have expanded into the corporate wellness side. So now we're working with companies and organizations. So on that end, it's myself, the registered dietitian. We also have a yoga instructor and a mental health therapist. So that one's more of the holistic aspect. So my team, yes, I have one, but they mainly work on the corporate side. And then, yes, on the individual, it's myself and the dietitian.
Thank you for explaining that. And
Yes.
what stood out to me was I was in a fitness program that I started a couple of years ago now that was a similar structure where there are trainers, there is a mental health coach, there's a nutritionist and somebody who helps prepare healthy recipes. Yeah. And then there were different opportunities for movement, Pilates, yoga, stretching. So it was not just strength training, but the program itself was really focused on strength training and alternating that with cardio. I really like that. So I think having that holistic approach to physical wellness is really important.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah. So tell me more about that and the approach that you take with your clients to be well.
Yeah, so since our programming is so individualized, I mean, we do have a basic framework that we do use. However, each client is going to look a little bit differently. But the approach, yes, the physical fitness, obviously, we talk about that. The nutrition, we all know, or maybe we don't all know, that nutrition is literally the base of your whole fitness journey. Like when they say you really cannot outwork a bad diet, that is true. Like you can work out at the gym, do the cardio, all the things, but the results of those things are rooted in the choices of food that you make. Right. So that's one of the bigger ones. And most of our clients are women who are in high demand fields or in leadership that really are busy and making decisions all day. So our goal is to see how we can easily integrate their workouts, their cardio, their nutrition, and even talk about stress management within their program. So I guess you could say that's the approach, the physical, the nutrition, and the holistic mental wellness. How do I make sure that I'm still staying sane throughout the day? How do I make sure that my body is able to sustain my ambition, that it's able to do what I need it to do because I need to be able to perform at a high level in the work that I do, or if I'm a mom or things like that. My body has to be able to perform at that level. So when I say it's truly customized with each client. So we're able to tailor it to them.
I really love that you said that helping the body to be able to support your ambition. I don't know why, but I was just like, ooh, I love that phrasing. And just whatever it is that you aspire to do, that making sure your body's able to facilitate that happening for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just had a speaking engagement, and one of the quotes that I gave them is you can't carry out the vision if the vessel is depleted. So whatever your vision is, whether it is to build a business, whether it is to climb the corporate ladder, whether it is to build a family, like all of these things require the vessel to be full physically, with your nutrition, with your mind, all of that, all of that. None of it can happen if you're depleted. So our goal is to make sure that you, the vessel, are whole, you're full, you're complete so that you are able to carry out whatever that vision may look like for you.
Yeah. And I heard you say that you work with mostly women leaders. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm.
So while you're helping them to make sure their vessel is full, what are you doing to make sure your vessel is full?
Girl, it took me a minute to get here, okay, because I wasn't feeling nothing. Listen, I'm glad that you brought that up because my clients actually, like, they kicked me out. Like, they pretty much almost, I won't say fired me, but they kicked me out. So there was a point where I was burnt out. Like, I didn't realize it because at the time I didn't know the signs, but my clients, like, they know me. Like, they know me. And I would say same with everybody else. If you are used to being around certain people, they know when you're off or when you're different. They can see it before you see it or notice it if you don't notice the signs. And they notice. And there was a day that they were just like, I don't know what's going on with you. You need to leave, go home, get some rest because you're doing too much. They literally sent me home. They sent me home. So now so now, we live and learn. We live and learn, which is also why I do what I do because I've been there, I've done that, I lived it. So boundaries, setting those boundaries, yes, we set them, but we also have to make sure that we enforce them. Boundaries
Yes.
don't matter if they aren't enforced, right? Okay. So definitely that Monday, taking off that Monday, no meetings Monday has definitely helped a lot. I used to actually work holidays in the mornings. I don't do that anymore. Do not disturb is my best friend on my phone. That's my most used feature because I would answer and be available early in the morning, at nighttime, 10, 11 o'clock at night. No,
Mhm.
we don't do that anymore. Outside of that, I try to make sure I find pockets throughout the week to do things that bring me joy. So whether that is having a slow morning, sitting at my table next to the window, drinking my coffee in silence, whether it is like actually sitting and reading a book where I have to flip pages. So things that I actually love and enjoy doing, I make sure some way, shape, or form I do that throughout my week. And I feel like people, especially women, feel like it has to be some big production as far as filling my cup or I have to fill my cup. Girl, no, it could be something as simple as just having that little 10-minute time in the morning of like not being bothered sipping your coffee. Like it doesn't have to be extravagant, but something that you actually truly enjoy doing.
You remind me that one of the things I like to do sometimes is just take an afternoon break and like I'll lay in my bed and I'm not even trying to take a nap or anything. I just like to lay there and do nothing. And sometimes if my husband works from home, he'll come in and lay down too, or like he'll be on his tablet or he'll be on his work computer or something. And then I'm like, can you please do that in another room? And he's like, what? Like he gets so offended. But I'm like, no, I want my space and time right now to myself. And if you're here, I'm aware that you're here. And so this is just like a space for me, right? And that's just so important. It to set that boundary and say, this is what I need to recharge right now.
No, I love that. No, I really love that. And you also made me think of something like my workouts recharge me. And when you said that your husband comes, and, accompanies you on your break time, I think of my workouts as my break time too. So very, very, very rarely you will ever see me working out with somebody. I love my people, but my workout times are my times. So I don't really work out with people because, that's my secret time. And also, I typically do not work out at the gym that I train my clients at for the most
Okay.
part because mentally I want to have that separate. Even though I actually do work out at both, but for the most part I'll go to like their sister location. And that's also kind of how I keep my peace in if I'm working out in the same place that I work. I don't know, mentally I'm just like I don't know. So if I'm in a different environment, that can kind of help me disassociate my mind from being in work mode.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me when you say that because it's like if working out for you is your time for yourself and it's something that's very nourishing, doing that in the space where you also train clients for work can blur that line and like change how you feel about your own workouts. And so I think it makes total sense to
Yeah.
create that separation.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though both locations are great, but sometimes I'm just like, yeah, no, bye. I want to go to the gym, right? Go to the other gym. But yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back for a moment because you said your clients recognized that you were burned out and that you needed a break. What were those symptoms like for you? Because I've been burned out too, but I think it's important to share, like, because everyone's experience of burnout is different and it can even vary with the circumstances that you're in, right? So, what was that
Mhm.
like for you?
So I will recall around that time, like I really was doing like a lot. I was on like a lot. My workouts were not the greatest. Like I definitely felt like I was going through the motions, just going there, doing the workout, but not really like doing the workout. Like I wasn't really present there. There were some days where I would wake up and go train my clients and I wasn't as excited. But my clients are literally my heart. And when I show up as my best self, we're always joking and doing this and doing that, which I thought I was doing during that time, but they were able to see that it wasn't to the level that they were used to. I do remember a lot that I was tired and just general things that did bring me joy. I wasn't as excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what else that they may have saw, but that's kind of what I remember. I didn't rest much either. So there's that. Yeah, did not rest much.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with someone recently about the idea that even when you get rest, when you're burned out, like that is not the solution. I mean, the solution is all the conditions that created burnout in the first place and dealing with those. Rest is essential. And so,
Mm-hmm.
what did you do to come back from that place? How did you manage that? Did you have to make a hard stop? You know, because some days I dream like, I'm just going to cancel everything on my calendar for a month and just take a break. I never do that. I've never done that.
I would definitely love to do that. So I definitely did take that time off that they told me to. Luckily, they were pretty self-sufficient at that point. And at that point, I was doing everything in person. And when you are a female trainer and all of your clients are women, all of your clients you are training in person, and you're training anywhere between 20 at times 25 women throughout the week. That's a lot. But then I also recognize that I also do have a social battery. So being around people drains me. So just recognizing those things, or just recognizing that and making more of an effort to fill my cup and being prepared for those things to make sure that I do show up my best self. What else did I implement? More time management, going back to work, managing my time and like things that are not a priority. They moved a little lower on the list. And yeah, like I said, one of my clients like literally made me enforce those boundaries as far as the do not disturb, as far as the not working on the weekends. Cause at that point I was I was training like every other weekend. I stopped training weekends and then the holidays because I definitely would be like, oh, Thanksgiving, let's work out in the morning. Oh, it's Christmas Eve, let's do a workout in the morning. Or like I would be doing like the most. So just making sure that I just didn't.
Well, was part of that, I'm curious for the holidays, was part of that like, I really value having the holiday off or not feeling a pressure to perform on a holiday? What was that conversation for you? Because I can see the benefit of, you know, I just saw a turkey trot post in my neighborhood, right? So am I going to get up and go run on Thanksgiving morning? You know, that's a question. But I'm like, well, I actually think I prefer to sleep in, you know? What was that conversation for you?
Yeah, because she was just like, is the federal government closed? And I was like, yeah. She's like, okay, well, Impact Fitness is closed too. So, I mean, I get it because, everybody else is resting. So, giving me that space to do the same and actually enjoy the holiday. But I get it. On the flip side, other people are also off. So that also gives folks who didn't have the opportunity to train with me to participate. So it definitely was a interesting conversation with said client. Her name is Mo, but I don't think I've done anything on the holiday for the last couple of years. So even if I am thinking about or considering doing a holiday boot camp or something like that, like we always have a conversation about it. Like basically she's part of my board of directors. But yeah, if I do, it's literally nothing intense, something that I could show up, do the thing, and then that's it. But not to the extent of what I was doing, I'll tell you that.
I heard recently, in addition to like having a CEO day, is just having days where you are not expected to perform. So if you don't want to get dressed or you don't want to do your hair or you don't want to whatever, that you have those built in. Because I think like you, especially in more recent years, I've started to shift to where I need more time away from people to recharge. And I used to be doing all the things and just doing too much. And now I'm like, okay, how can I do less?
Yes.
And how can I have fewer days where I have to like be bothered, about anything?
Oh, yes. And two things came to mind when you said that. I don't remember where I saw or heard this, but like a monthly do nothing day, a day that you actually don't do anything. Like No meetings, no nothing. You can lay on the couch, catch up on a show, whatever. A monthly do nothing day, or at least a half day. And then one of my fitness sisters, she schedules like meetings and speaking engagements, like big things in relation to our cycle.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's so smart, because usually, like, obviously around that time, like, I am not my best. So you just being mindful of how you are during all of those phases, like the phases that you feel the most creative, that you feel the most make sure you schedule things around that time. And then the times that you are not that, just make sure that you're mindful of those things. So I've been more intentional with scheduling certain things, certain appearances, or whatever else, like around those things, and being more aware of my energy levels during certain times and creative things that I have to do, whether it's creating content or whatever else, just making sure that I am doing that around those times that I am the most creative and the most energized as well. So I am slowly learning that too.
And it's so funny because another recent guest said the same thing, and she's a keynote speaker. And I was thinking, like, wow, I wish somebody had told me this like 20 years ago when I entered the workforce or whatever, and then how to schedule your work around the times that you're best, and recognizing, like, at the times in your cycle when you're not feeling the greatest, like there's certain kinds of work that you can do. The workforce is not, I mean, today is not designed around women's cycles. So it's like you have to really fight to create that space for yourself, I think. But I think part of normalizing that is having these conversations, and not just with women, but with men too, to understand, like, we can be conscious of the natural cycle of life and incorporate that into the way that we design our systems. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what
Girl.
I dream is.
No, listen, that could be a whole nother segment in and of itself, child. But I agree. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Until recently, I mean, I would personally schedule around my energies and make adjustments. So I think it's important, if you wake up and you're like, I really don't feel like talking to people today, to really consider if you should cancel some meetings. And that is really hard for people, and I've done it myself. But I think you have to say, like, if I'm really not feeling it, if I'm not feeling it and then I show up for these meetings, I'm not giving them the best version of me anyways. And is that going to get us to where we want to be? Or should I just say, hey, let's reschedule and do this another time? That's really hard, but I think it's really important to pay attention to that, and also understand that, like, on the other end of that phone call could be somebody who's like, thank you, I needed a break and I needed that time back.
That is so true, and that has happened multiple times. I've been on both ends. Like, I am getting more used to, like I said, I had to cancel things earlier this week that I knew, literally coming off of that, like I wasn't going to show up my best on a Tuesday morning, and I had a whole event the entire weekend. Like, I'm not doing that. But yeah, there have been plenty of times where I'm just like, yeah, can we reschedule? And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much, because, I am completely fine with that. And then I've been on the other end, and they're just like, yeah, I need to reschedule. And I'm just like, I am so sorry. No problem. What do you want to reschedule? That's not a problem. Girl, so I get it. But I also
Yeah.
think, yeah, having that understanding and being flexible, having, just having people that understand that things happen, and it is okay to change your mind and say no. That's another,
Yes.
when we're talking about boundaries and things that we had to implement and learn, saying no. I said yes too much, which is also why I was burned out. But learning to say no and not having to explain why you said no.
Same. I'm with you. I also
Mhm.
said yes too much, and felt like if I said no, I had to explain to people. And the reality is you have to explain nothing.
At
Yeah,
all.
at all.
At all. Okay? I know
Yeah.
why. Just know that I can't. That's all you need to know, is I can't.
Yeah. And there's a balance, because I do think, like, sometimes people are curious, but I think that's a judgment that we place on ourselves. Like, do I have a
Mhm.
valid reason, quote unquote, to be rescheduling, taking time off, taking a break or whatever? The only reason that you need to take a break is that you need one. That's it. You don't have to
Yeah.
explain it. There doesn't have to be some deeper analysis. Your body's telling you to take a break, then take a break.
Mhm.
That's it. Yeah.
Mhm. If we did more of that, less people would be burned out, for sure.
I think about this too with working out, right? So this was my schedule like over the summer. I was doing Zumba 3 times a week. I do Pilates twice a week. I go to yoga, hot yoga once or twice a week. And I was swimming on Saturdays and then doing Steel Mace Flow, which was this new thing I picked up. And every day of the week I was doing something. These are all things that I enjoy, but I was at one point just like really physically tired. I was just like, oh, I'm so exhausted. And then I would wake up and be like, well, do I go to Zumba today or do I take a day off? And like that pressure I put on myself to go. And then finally I just was like, maybe I don't work out at all this week and I just take a break. Which was really hard. You get into a routine,
Mhm,
you like the things
mhm.
that you like to do, and you feel like, oh, I'm gonna lose ground, and maybe that's true, maybe it isn't, but you just have to be willing to accept whatever the outcome is of that choice. But for sure, the outcome of pushing yourself hard is that your body is going to force you to take a break.
That's so true, that's so true, and one thing to that point is in your fitness journey, it's going to be important for you to be flexible and give yourself grace. Because, yeah, if you're weight training, let's say 4 or 5 days a week, and then you wake up and you're just like, I don't have it in me today. Like, one, you also have to give yourself grace if you do decide to not work out and know that it's going to be okay. But also to have the flexibility to say, I still want to move my body. I can't weight train today. Maybe I'll just do some light stretching. Maybe I'll just go for a walk. Being able to be flexible, if you feel like, oh, I'll feel guilty if I say, I don't want to work out. Okay, well, how else can you move your body? So it's still a win. So I definitely think it's important to be flexible. And then on the days that you do need a break, like give yourself grace. Taking off a day isn't going to undo all the work that you've done over the last couple of weeks, couple of months, or whatever the case is. Rest and recovery should be built into your wellness plan, your fitness plan. However, but there are days where you're just like, no, I don't have it. So if you don't have that, then what do you have? How else can you move your body? A walk will suffice. Gentle stretching could suffice. A
Yeah.
15-minute mobility workout could suffice. So just try to be flexible and also give yourself grace.
Really appreciate that reminder because I feel like I was an athlete when I was younger and, in high school and in college. And as an adult, I played in an adult league. I played soccer for a long time as an adult. And I think you get conditioned to say like that what constitutes a workout. And it's really hard, especially if you were an athlete, to make a transition to I guess, I don't know, like having a softer workout schedule or,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like not
yeah.
training at that same level.
Mhm,
Yeah. Do you
mhm.
deal with that with your clients or like what is your like how does that come up, I guess?
I would say with my clients, not as much because most of them don't have like an athletic background. Most of them are literally just lifestyle clients just trying to do X, Y, and Z. But there have been two that I can think of um, who did get to the point they felt like they always need to do this workout or do that or do this or do that. And I had to be like, listen, above anything that I give you on your program, you have to listen to your body. If what's scheduled for that day is leg day and for whatever reason, for whatever good reason, because don't just be saying you don't want to do it and don't want to do it, right? But for whatever reason, because I know my people, but if for whatever reason you truly do not have it that day, be okay with pivoting. So it's literally just a mindset shift that they have to experience. Just like with me, like you say, you were an athlete. Me from competing, I had a regiment schedule, back and biceps, legs, quad focus, push. Like my plan was laid out. So when I stopped competing, it was a process for me to learn like, girl, you don't have to do this today. If you're not feeling it, you can do something else. So yeah, from a client standpoint, it's literally just a mindset shift and conversation that we have to have. But now I try to have that conversation early before we even get to the point where they're in the thick of things and now just like I want to do. It can be tough, but yeah, it's all in the mindset. And again, just goes back to being gentle with yourself, giving yourself grace in that capacity.
It's interesting because you've mentioned a couple of times this idea of like pushing yourself, wanting to accomplish. And that is also, I feel like that is work, right? We are
Right.
driven and conditioned to produce, to do, to accomplish. And that bleeds over into every other aspect of our life, into our
Yeah.
fitness regimen, into probably our discipline with food, into, how we structure our time. I appreciate this conversation because I think it's good to remember that work is, like I say, work is third. That's this podcast, but work is a part of the ecosystem that shapes us. It is not independent of the way that we function in all these other places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You said it. Yes.
So how do you talk to your clients about making space for themselves? Because I imagine some people, especially because you said people who are perhaps not athletes, maybe they're new to fitness and to working out, or maybe they've been away for a long time. What are those conversations like to get people to say it's just as important to make space for this as it is for work and for caregiving or for whatever your other roles are in your life?
So again, just kind of going back to pouring into yourself. So I always start like, why are you looking to train? Like, why are you even on or want to be on this fitness journey? It's always going to boil down to one thing or another. Yeah, I want to lose weight. Okay, well, why? Whatever it boils down to, you have to keep asking the why. Well, why? Oh, I need to lose weight. Oh, well, why? Because I want to fit into X, Y, and Z dress. Well, why? Because it will build my confidence. So you have to find that why. Everything that they do, creating that space, always has to tie back to why they're doing this. So when it comes to, you need to make sure, yes, that you're moving your body some way, shape, or form. Why? Because it ties back to this. You also need to make sure that you are not sitting at a desk all day and you're only getting up to go to the bathroom, if that. Why? Because it's going to tie back to this. Because if you're sitting, that's also going to be bad for your overall health and things like that. So everything that they have to implement, creating that time, whether it is for their workout, creating that time just for themselves, creating that time for rest and recovery, always has to tie back to the why of why they are starting in the first place. But then also they get it. They understand that one client in particular opens her emails at like 6 a.m. Started opening up her emails literally at 6 a.m. or before she even came in the gym. And she's always walking in frazzled. I'm like, girl, what's going on? Girl, I just got this email. Why are you on the clock right now? Can that email wait till after your session, right? Because now you're coming in frazzled in your mind. You're not even here. You just brought work into your session. So now she doesn't check her emails until after that. So now that's a new boundary that she has set. She has also put it into her work calendar so nobody bothers her, nobody emails her or calls her for anything during those hours. So now it's literally a part of her lifestyle. Her mind is so much better. And she used to work through her lunches at the computer on the phone. I challenged her to do a mindful lunch. Take 20 minutes for your lunch. Get away from your computer. Go outside. Don't do nothing but sit and enjoy your food. She now has that implemented into her schedule, including 15 minutes before and after meetings, because she used to just roll right into the next, roll right into the next. So challenging my clients to try these little bite-sized tasks, and they're seeing the results. They're seeing how they're feeling. They're seeing how their day has changed. They now make it a habit. They now make it a lifestyle.
These are great examples of how to put boundaries around work. And my favorite thing that you said is really the not checking emails before you go into your workout. So you remind me, I like to do evening workouts, and I do an evening yoga class. And so sometimes I would finish my work, and if my work would run long often because I'm just like, oh, I got to get something done, right? And so like, say I get done at 6 and then my class is at 7, I'm in downward dog, like composing emails back to people in my head. And like, this is not relaxing. Like, I need a cutoff, right? Or I'd be in Zumba and then the whole time I'm thinking about like how I'm going to respond to something because I looked at an email, right? And it's just like, you have to set firm boundaries around that. I do the same thing. You have to have a cutoff for email. I try to only check email like twice a day now, in the morning and like sometime in the afternoon. I have do not disturb on as well. Now that I work for myself, it's different. But when I work for an organization, I put lunch on my calendar. I was always flexible. Like if something's necessary, I'll do it. But I want people to know that I value my time enough to say like, I need this break. And like, you should do that too.
Exactly. And two things, literally, I love this conversation. So two things came to mind when you said that. So for those who are doing evening workouts and you didn't had a full day of, he said this and I can't believe they said that in the email. Oh, he wants me to do what? What? Before you go do your workout, brain dump. So you're not thinking about, oh, how do I respond to this email? Just brain dump. Just write short little notes before you even go to your workout, right? You close your laptop, write down whatever, so that what would go on in your mind is now on paper. So it'll be more time to yourself in the moment at your workout or during your workout. So try brain dumping after work as well. The other one, oh yeah, the other one, I forgot who I was emailing, but I saw like in the signature or whatever, said something to the effect of like, don't feel like you have to respond right away, or some little blurb saying like, don't feel like you're pressured to respond right away to this email, something to that effect. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. A couple of people I work with have my working hours are not your working hours. Please respond to this email at a time that is convenient for you.
Yes.
And I love that because it gives people permission, right? It takes the pressure off because there's such a sense of urgency, especially around professional email. But also, where were you 2 years ago? Where I needed this brain dump idea before at the end of the workday. I probably still need to do that if we're being honest.
Yeah. At the end of the workday, even before you go to sleep. So people talk about, oh, I can't sleep. My sleep sucks. I only get 4 or 5 hours. Why? Because your mind is always racing. I know as an entrepreneur, we're always on, right? We're always on. But if we can brain dump before we go to bed, do you think we'll be able to sleep better if we brain dump even just in the morning, just of whatever our dreams or whatever? Just brain dumping. It don't have to be anything crazy. Just have like a little brain dump, notebook if you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl, just write it down, child. Just write it down.
Yeah. I was thinking, or like use the notes app on your phone, or
That too.
I hear the iPhones, like I'm not an iPhone user, but I hear they have an app called Journal or something like that on the
Maybe. I
iPhone.
don't know. But if they do, that's even better. You can write down or do a voice note. Do a
Do a
voice
voice note.
note.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I feel like I have a good boundary, like mental boundaries around bedtime. So
Yeah.
I always make sure all I'm doing before bed is reading a good book or watching a cozy rom-com, like drinking some tea, maybe a glass of wine. Like I'm not doing anything related to anything that requires brain power. But I think that's hard for people to just create that divide. So it's really good advice to think about what are the ways that you transition out of your workday so that you can give your full self to everything else that you're doing.
We will be answer that.
No, but you can. I mean, I didn't mean to say no like that. I just mean like there's no expectation. I was just making an observation.
No, that is definitely important, which is why creating that nighttime routine is key. So whether that nighttime routine is 30 minutes before bed, whether it's an hour, yeah, definitely should include not working. And let me just say, another thing, when we're talking about creating boundaries, especially for those who work from home, stop working from your bed. Don't be having that laptop on your bed. And I'm going to tell you why, because, and I tell my clients this, what kind of environment are you creating in your room? Are you watching TV from your bed, rolling on social media, while you're laying on your pillow, right? If you're working, like all of these are things that require your brain to work. If you're watching TV, that also requires your brain to process, right? So now when it's time to go to bed, your mind has already created this environment in your room like, okay, we have to be on. Versus if you do all these things in other places in your house. So with me, I have a TV in my room, but I've been in this place for almost 5 years. And I have maybe have turned it on 15 times. But that's usually like when I'm folding clothes or whatever else. I do not work from my bed. I don't be scrolling social media. Like nothing that requires me to think. None of that is from my bed. So I've created this environment in my room that when my body is in here, my brain processes, oh, we're in the bedroom. It's time to shut down. So just how we have to create these habits everywhere else, creating that habit in your brain to recognize different environments. Same should go for, your bedroom, which will make it easier to fall asleep.
That's good advice. I mean, I'm definitely guilty of like, let me lay in here with my cozy pillows and prop myself up and, I'll just respond to some emails or whatever. Yeah, it's a good point. Like if you treat your bedroom like a sacred sleep space, then it is that. Yeah, if it's all these other functions, that's what you think when you're in there, or it's what your brain is thinking when you're in there. So I mean, that makes sense. I haven't heard it like described in that way, but I'm like, yes, that resonates. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, girl, give it a try, give it a try. Of course, it's gonna take some time to adjust because your mind is currently used to doing those things, but just start finding different pockets. Like, if you want to, like, relax and, cozy up with a pillow, like, I have a corner in my living room on my couch where I can be creative, I can do work, but there's different places in my house that my mind will be functioned for that specific activity.
Okay. A tip to implement. I always leave with one. So, I got a lot of good tips out of this conversation today, but for sure, I should probably do that.
Yeah.
Um, I appreciate that on a week that you are recovering, recouping, that you made time to be here on Work is Third. It means a lot to me, and I've really enjoyed our conversation. Yeah. And then what is something that you are taking away from our time together today?
What am I taking away? One, again, reiterating the importance of rest. We are all human, so it's okay to have those hiccups and challenges, but being able to pivot and move forward is key. And your journey is always evolving. So what it may look like now may not look the same later. So being, again, flexible to be able to pivot as things change throughout your journey. So those are my three.
Good advice for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Tyneka, thank you so much. Again, this was a great conversation. I look forward to following your work and staying connected and being well in this wild
Yes.
world that we live in.
Yes, 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 yes.
That was Tyneka Pack, reminding us that wellness isn't a luxury, it's a leadership strategy. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who's learning to balance drive with rest, and please subscribe and leave a rating or review. It helps other people to find Work is Third. You can find Tyneka and the Impact Fitness team on Instagram and learn more at impactfitness.com. And as always, you can sign up for my newsletter, The Joyful Rebellion, and find other resources at workisthird.com. Until next time, remember, put yourself first.